Theater Review in Loving Memory by Kevin Douglas. A Squirrel's Funeral as Parable by Eric Fitzgerald. 2 Cent Lion Theater is out with another powerful original play. In Loving Memory starts out as a sort of goofy premise. After all, we're invited to a celebration of the life of Mr. Squirrel. Yes, that Mr. Squirrel. The one we see outside our window or that our dog chases incessantly. But this goofy piece turns deadly serious and quickly lives up to its headline of a queer tragic comedy. Written by Kevin Douglas and directed by Gracie Jacobson, In Loving Memory is a searing 30-minute theatrical piece being presented by 2 Cent Lion Theater Company as a preview of shows at the Denver Fringe Festival, June 8th through 11th. We are greeted at the door by Andy, Izzy Chern, a queer teen hosting this celebration of life. Andy is clearly distressed and asks if we knew Mr. Squirrel, thus beginning the immersive quality of this production. We're now part of the performance as grieving community members, having been invited to attend this celebration for Mr. Squirrel. Still unsure of the connection between Andy and Mr. Squirrel, we're treated to several minutes of very amusing tongue-in-cheek banter with the audience and Andy surrounding Mr. Squirrel's death. Having entered the makeshift church, in this case the White Studio Theater at the University of Denver, we're handed funeral pamphlets recounting the life of Mr. Squirrel, along with other pertinent information, my favorite being not to touch the snacks until after the service. Andy is wearing an oversized man's suit and is nervously controlling the music level with a phone. Andy begins to report about their life versus that of the dead Mr. Squirrel, and they are not a happy camper. Even amid all of this drama, however, Andy does have time to flirt with a member of the audience and perhaps even set up a pizza date for later. Finally, Andy zeroes in on the real significance of Mr. Squirrel's life and untimely demise as it relates to theirs. The denouement has been revealed, and Andy flees from the space, never to be seen again by a stunned audience. Izzy Chern as Andy gives a complex and winning performance. Initially called upon to use improvisational skills, Chern is equally adept in that arena as with scripted dialogue. We genuinely feel their pain for Mr. Squirrel, only to discover that the pain really resides in Andy's own existence. They have given us a glimpse into a very troubled teen who is on the brink of some sort of collision course with their own reality. Gracie Jacobson is the director and has beautifully orchestrated a very emotional and affecting 30 minutes of theater. At no time is there a dishonest moment between Andy and the audience, and she clearly understands the playwright's intention for the flow of the piece. Moving from improvisation to scripted dialogue, Jacobson renders the same honesty called upon throughout the piece with no demarcation. As written by Kevin Douglas, In Loving Memory is a solid play with a very specific intention, grabbing the audience immediately through improvisation and ultimately with volatile dialogue leading the character and audience to an emotional summit of epic proportions. His writing is both strong and thought-provoking. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the past successes of 2 Cent Lion Theater Company. In a little more than a year, the company has presented several well-received productions, including Clink Clink and Off the Gradient. I had the pleasure of reviewing their production of Off the Gradient, calling it an exceptional work encompassing the human condition. This trio of talented University of Denver grads, Izzy, Kevin, and Gracie, has exploded onto the Denver theater scene with very reverent productions written by and featuring members of the LGBTQ+ community, and has done so again with In Loving Memory. If You Go. In Loving Memory by Kevin Douglas. June 8th through June 11th, Denver Fringe Festival at the Savoy Flex Studio in Denver. Directed by Gracie Jacobson.